All right, welcome, free radicals. I'm Dave, and this is the Radical Independent. First order of business, my friend Charles Anderson, who is a good friend, a friend of this channel, also the founder of the Forbidden Pack Network, which includes a number of different YouTubers who are all under the same sort of independent-minded umbrella. Charles, for his job, had to go do the thing. And he is having a bit of a reaction to the thing. He said yesterday, though, he was starting to do a little better. But in one of his Twitter posts, he said that it was concerning him, which obviously for a tough rebel Southerner like Charles, if it's kind of concerning him, it's probably at least a little bit serious. So again, haven't heard much today from Charles. I'm hoping that he was able to sleep off this reaction that he is having. Again, not to, and I'm not trying to use this as an illustration, but again, we're having different reactions across the spectrum. But again, nobody's talking about it. So I want to just wish Charles a speedy recovery, praying for you, brother. And, you know, you're in God's hands. Let's just hope that, you know, you're going to be doing videos for the next 50 years, you know, so, or longer. I mean, he's a young dude. He's in his 20s. So I'm the old geezer of the bunch here. I want to talk about the Southwest Airlines thing. This, folks, this is hysterical. All right. This is hysterical. So I turned on the news this morning and they reported on the Southwest problem. I mean, thousands of flights got canceled yesterday and I believe on Saturday. I haven't looked at the flight logs today, but I've been checking various airports where it will either say delayed, canceled, or scheduled, right? Scheduled doesn't mean it hasn't been canceled yet. And apparently, the real news on the ground is that there are many people who've decided to walk off the job based on the mandate. You know, the mandate that you do the thing. And I think people are finally starting to say, look, if you're really going to push me up against a wall, I'm going to walk. I don't want to play Russian roulette. And if you don't think it's that serious, look, there was a guy who, I don't know, made some comments on this channel, the last video I did, which had nothing to do with this particular topic, by the way, but is now related to what I'm talking about now, thinking that this is the greatest threat we've ever faced. You know what the greatest threat we've ever faced is? The lack of skepticism with our government. That is the greatest, and the lack of intellectual curiosity among the so-called media class out there. They just parrot the talking points. And then the people just absorb those talking points. They internalize it. They become so fearful and so passive aggressive toward anything that you might say contrary to that, that it's almost impossible to talk to people about this, and they'll bring it up. If they know I have a different view than they have on that particular topic, then I'm basically discredited on anything else I discuss, which quite honestly is going to get a lot of people in a lot of trouble. Because if you start to limit speech, or if you start to pigeonhole certain commentators based on their views on one topic. For instance, I'm anti-war, and I'm truly anti-war in the sense that we have fought wars for generations. It ain't good for anything, just like Edwin Starr sang about. It's absolutely nothing, all right? It's good for killing people. That's about it. And we've lost soldiers, and then we kill innocent people. Our little drone accident over in Afghanistan recently proves that. All right, you may not agree with me on that. You may think there are some good wars we can fight. You can go back to World War II and look at that. Yeah, okay, I might agree with you on that, historically speaking, but again, it's not like our first response should be, let's go bomb the hell out of them. All right. So anyway, I make the point about, you may not agree with me on that topic. You may not agree with my views on abortion. You may not agree with my views on the nuclear family. All right. You may not agree on any of those things. Okay. But guess what? We may have some common ground here or there, and you're better off trying to unite with people right now than trying to be a purposeful agitator. All right. And this passive aggressive mentality, which it's all over Twitter, it's hyper responsive to the issue at hand. And it quite honestly, it makes for a really lousy dialogue between somebody, because as soon as you start talking, you have to become defensive. And I don't want to have anything to do with that. So a little advice: if you're going to comment on these videos and you're going to be consistently an agitator, then I'm just going to delete the comments. I don't get that many comments anyway, so I'll just get rid of them, because I can do that. And you can comment again, and then I'll just block you from the channel. Pretty simple. So the Southwest Air thing, right? It's hysterical because the news media is saying it's a weather problem. They literally said that out loud this morning, and I laughed. I was just like, okay, they've got to talk about why these people aren't showing up. Why? Because it's hundreds of flights. So is it a weather problem that they're kind of making it sound like there was a weather problem in Jacksonville on Saturday? Okay, which then caused a domino effect where planes couldn't go to Jacksonville. So then other flights got canceled to other destinations. Makes absolutely no sense. You can have a domino effect in some regard when it comes to transfers, and schedules have to be realigned. But typically you're not canceling flights on the other side of the country because there was a weather problem in Jacksonville. What you could do is land, in another city, and then, wait for a connecting flight from some other airline or from the current airline. But in this case, it's Southwest. People are walking off the job at Southwest because they don't believe in mandates. And I hear this may even pick up steam with other airlines. And right now, with all the restrictions on air travel and requirements, you have to wear your medical device unless you're eating peanuts, or the first thing you do, you sit down and you're sandwiched right next to someone else. Some of these policies, people, which this is what alarms me about the human race right now, is that they don't see the foolishness. They look at it and they go, well, it makes sense. You need to protect the person next to you. Really? You mean the one where your arm is now rubbing up against their shoulder? That person? Oh, okay. That's going to work real great. And I guess I don't eat or breathe or move, right, during the entire flight. So a lot of people, probably many of the flight attendants, I'm sure a bunch of the pilots, pilots, there's some data out there that suggests that, taking off and landing and it has some adverse effects after, the thing that they're telling you to do. I mean, I've got it. By the way, folks, they're cracking down on all discussions about these topics. So I've already got a strike on this channel, and who knows what's going to happen to this channel? I don't know. I mean, I gain 5 subscribers, I lose 20. I gain 2, I lose 20. So I don't know if it's people or it's an algorithm, or it's, gee, we can just continue to unsubscribe. He won't notice. He won't notice. I notice. I look at this every day and it doesn't make any sense. By the way, if you want to subscribe to the channel, please do so. And hit the bell for notifications on videos, because I'm sure you're not going to get those. So anyway, to wrap this up, I find this lie, this lie is bigger than any of the lies we've heard, and that's saying something. We've heard some big whoppers in the last 18 months. We heard about Fauci's noble lie that he was trying to keep the equipment ready for those who needed it. So he didn't want people to rush out. I mean, these things are all over the side of the road, folks. There's no shortage of them. They're in the sewer drains. I'm sure they're in the ocean. I'm sure they're everywhere where they can clog something up. I mean, and it's a disaster. And where are these things made? Mostly in China. So let's just trust that, right? The news media has such a credibility problem. And what's going to happen is independent journalism, I think, is eventually going to just because here's the other thing. I watch like the morning news still, and I know people think I'm crazy to do that. It's the most boring. There's no creativity to it. They run all these human interest stories where you don't need to run human interest stories, right? They went really off the deep end when that poor girl was most likely killed by her boyfriend, the van thing. And then you hear all these people saying, oh, van life, it's the stupidest thing. They were taking a trip. They're in a van. This guy is obviously an idiot. He's still either on the loose or he probably, offed himself. But this is a big story because it's got tabloid journalism on it. So they'll cover that 7 ways to Sunday. And meanwhile, your backyard is on fire and they're not going to tell you about that. Or there's this huge air traffic problem, and they're going to tell you it's a weather issue in one city, which caused a domino effect around the country for 2 days. And probably today. I haven't looked to see what's going on today, but if you had tickets for a Southwest air flight, I would see if you can not have those tickets honored and get your money back. I know they have strict cancellation policies, but if they're not flying planes because the people don't want to fly those planes and you can't get yourself a crew on that plane, then you probably need to pick a different airline. And this is going to have catastrophic effects on the stock market probably, and again, on transportation in general, as people try to seek alternate ways to get places. I mean, I don't know. Look, here's the bottom line. Under Joe Biden, right? Under Joe Biden, things have gotten worse than they were last year. And I'm not promoting the guy who was president last year because he did a lot of things that I think set this all up. They were unprepared for what happened in November. They were unprepared for what happened after that. And quite honestly, there were some swamp creatures that were definitely still on the loose, and that should have been taken care of. But by every measurable quantitative thing that you can look at, they even said this morning, gas prices, they basically finally gave up on saying it's the summer blend. We're in October, by the way, but gas prices are going to continue to go up, and they showed signs that said $4 and $5 a gallon. Remember, folks, the Great Reset is about nudging people out of their cars, which it's impossible. People need transportation. We can argue about what you power those vehicles with, but people need transportation. And not everybody is going to live in a little block somewhere where they walk to their job, which is across the street. Not everybody can work from home. You need infrastructure. This is why we're seeing shortages all over the country, because you can't find people to deliver these products. You can't find people to drive the vehicles to deliver the products. So this is, this could be, look, it's going to be a really dark winter as it stands, and each day that goes by, it's going to get stupider and stupider, and it can be prevented, but our government is like, it's like full throttle. It's like full steam ahead. And the news media, rather than reporting, because to me, this is good news. I know this doesn't sound like good news, but it sounds like people are rebelling and they're standing up for their rights. Good for them if that's what's happening. And by all appearances, and it's all over Twitter, it's all over places that aren't controlled opposition, controlled media, that these people are just walking off the job. And it's because of these mandates that are coming down. And I don't blame them. And what are you going to do? See, in New York City, they just said, bye-bye. We don't need these hospital workers. What's that? Last year, they were heroes. This year, they're villains. So, man, what a screwed up world. I have nothing more to say. Again, I hope my buddy Charles is feeling better today. And pray for him. If you pray for Charles Anderson. He's a good guy. And my guess is he's going to pull through because he's one tough SOB. And I don't think anything's going to, take Charles out. So you have to have the right attitude, and attitude is at least half of the battle.